Hello everybody and welcome back to Fifield Junction, and once again we've got another I suppose train for us to look at today. But as you can see, it's something rather different today. It's something that I haven't looked at before. It's not mine, by the way. This has been lent to me by a friend, so obviously I want to be quite careful. I want to be very careful with it because obviously I don't want it to get damaged. But yes, it's definitely something that I haven't looked at before. As you can see, it's a train pack for a start, and I haven't looked at any train packs yet. Well, I suppose not any proper train packs, but I obviously have looked at multiple unit train packs, but I haven't looked at a train pack like this before. So it's quite unique in that aspect, I suppose. But as we can see, it's the Virgin East Coast train pack, and it contains a very nice Class 91. 2 Mark IV coaches, and then a DVT as well. Now obviously it's not a premium model, this is a fairly low quality model. It's not terrible, but it's obviously not the best either. So obviously when Hornby released their brand new Class 91, obviously then you compare the two, then you can see how much better obviously that one will be compared to this. Obviously taking the price into account as well. But obviously for a fairly basic pack, it's not bad. It's really good. It's very nice. I think the colour on the front has faded a bit, but for a fairly basic pack which contains fairly basic rolling stock, it's very nice. For the money, I suppose, even though you probably can't get these incredibly cheap because it is a limited edition model, as you can see there. It is a very good pack. Obviously, the reason I don't have one and never will have one, because mainly, obviously, it's the wrong region for me. But the fact that I've been loaned one is very nice. It's very kind, and it should hopefully make a fairly interesting review. Obviously the box, it's not the most interesting box in the world, although it still does look quite nice. We can see there what the full train looks like when you get it running. I think you can buy additional coaches for these, but if you can, they're very rare and they're not easy to get hold of, so you're probably best off getting some resprayed, to be honest, if you want to lengthen the train. If we look on the back of the box, we can see it's DCC ready, which it definitely is. I've opened her up because I had to open her up just to give her a service and to make sure everything was okay. And there is an 8-pin socket just above the motor bogie here, where you can fit an 8-pin chip if you want to, and there's plenty of room inside as well if you need it. But apart from that, there's not much else on the box. I think there is some history actually on the back there. No, there isn't. It must be on the inside of the box then, or actually no, here we go, it's on the front. Here we go. So there is some information there on the train in real life if you want to read that. But we won't hang around for much longer. Let's get the box open and have a look what she's like. So if we just pull her out, there we go. There it should be a sheet of white card. There we go. And it does go over the top of there, but it doesn't seem to want to come out when you're from the box. We've got instructions here. We will have a very quick look at them. So it's the typical stuff. There we go. So Class 91, DCC ready or DCC fitted. I think you can get sound chips for these as well. And it's the typical stuff, such as servicing, body removal, all the important stuff. It does have a working pantograph, as you'll see later. But that's fairly basic stuff. We've also got a very nice certificates there, because again it is limited edition, and this is number 168, which is quite nice. So we've got the nice certificate there, and we can see we've got sort of a ghostly image of the train in the background as well. So that's quite nice. And there's the real thing. So if we very gently take out the motor unit, there we go. And if I just put the rest of the pack to one side for now, and this is the unit with the motor. Now it's just a single driven bogie, which is this one here, and it does use traction tyres, unfortunately. However, there's a fairly decent amount of weight to the model. It's not the heaviest model in the world, but it's not too light. But she does use traction tyres, but luckily all wheels have pickups on them, even the ones with traction tyres, and obviously the dummy bogie here as well, which does pick up. It does feel a little bit tight actually, but it doesn't cause any issues when running. The motor, I think it's just a 3-pole motor, but despite that, it's a very nice motor. It runs really smoothly, obviously on a better DC controller, because I don't have the best DC controller in the world. On a very nice high quality DC controller, it should be a nice quiet smooth runner. Obviously the pantograph, again, as I mentioned earlier, it is metal and it does work. If you want to, there is a switch there if you want to either pick up power from the track, as you usually do, or if you want to pick up power from the overhead lines, then you can if you want to. The livery application is very, very nice. As you can see, it's nice and crisp, it looks fantastic. I'm not sure why the whites there are different colours. I'm pretty sure they should be the same, but don't quote me on that. She doesn't have any lights, as you'd probably expect on a pack like this, so it just shows how sort of budget the model is because it doesn't have any lights. But apart from that, the rest of the detail is okay. We've got some nice handrails there. I don't think they're separately fitted, but they look very nice. We've got some warning signs. Obviously you've got the windows there. I have had to glue the window back in place, which is why there's a little bit of frosting around the top there. But obviously when the model is running, you can't really see it. But I have had to glue that back in, but that's fine. No sprung buffers, but they don't look too bad. We've got the running number there, which is 91124. I don't believe this particular 91 exists anymore. I think this one might have been scrapped by now, but I could be wrong. If we go to the back of the model, again, no lights, and they're not the best looking sort of dummy lights, are they really? So obviously you would benefit from probably fitting some lights to this model, which I think the owner is going to do at some point. There is a little bit of cab detail, and we can see the seats in there. In the other end, it's the same. You can just see some seats in there. So at least if you wanted to, you could put a driver in there. I suppose you could paint it a little bit if you wanted to. Underframe detail, obviously not a lot of it, really, is there? It's, again, it is very basic. Again, you've got the giant tension lock couplings, which we don't really like. But I think you could change them fairly easily, because I believe they are just screwed on. So if you wanted to, you probably could change them fairly easily for something more realistic if you wanted to. The roof, it's okay. You got some colour to the electrification equipment. Again, obviously you got the metal pantograph. And overall, it's not too bad. Obviously, it's not the best model in the world, but overall, it's okay. It's not too bad. It runs well, as you'll see later. It's not a bad model overall. If we very quickly have a look, actually, we'll look at the DVT next. Yes, if I just get it out, if I can, it's a little bit tight. There we go. So obviously, this is the DVT. Again, much lighter. To be honest, it's really light. There's barely any weight to it at all. But apart from that, again, it's okay. Nice livery application. Obviously, again, no lights, no sprung buffers, but they still look okay. And I think you probably could upgrade them if you wanted to. They are separately fitted, actually. That buffer's a little bit loose, so that's quite nice. Again, you've got a little bit of cab detail. Again, underframe detail, very minimal. Huge couplings. But you've got the nice sort of Mark III textured roof there, which is nice. But apart from that, again, there's not an awful lot really to the model. It is basic, and I know I've said that a lot, but it is a very basic model. But again, it still looks very good, and it's not too bad. It's definitely very good. The coupling on the DVT actually looks like that'll be much more difficult to change. You'd have to surgically remove that, to be honest. But again, it's not too bad for a basic model. It's okay. It's not terrible. There are worse models out there than this. It's okay. I don't believe, obviously, there's no obviously DTC socket in here because there's nothing for a chip to control. There's no lights or anything. Obviously, if you were to fit lights to this, then you probably want to hardwire in an 8-pin socket or something, just to control the lights if you wanted to. But it's not too bad. Then very quickly we'll have a look at one of the coaches, because obviously they're both exactly the same. So if I just grab one of them, if I can, it's coming slowly, there we go. So this is one of the Mark IV coaches. Not too bad, it's heavier than the DVT, so at least that's something. There obviously is seats in there, as you can see, but you can't see them very well. But again, the livery application is very nice. As you can, this is coach B, the other coach is coach C. But overall, again, it's okay. It's not terrible. The weight's okay, as I've said. The livery application is very nice. But obviously, apart from that, there's not much else to it. But it's okay. Again, it's not a terrible model. If you want one of these, I definitely recommend getting one. they're not too bad. They're very, very good models. Obviously, I know this isn't the full thing, so I know one of the coaches is still in the box, but overall, it's a very good model. If you want one, I'd recommend getting one if you can. Obviously, they're not easy to get hold of, but if you can get one, definitely get one. But obviously, the next thing to do is to put her on the track and see how she runs. So I'll do that in part 2. I'll end this video here, and then we'll come back in part 2 and we'll see how she runs.